Mark, another full week on the training field. How has that looked and what have you been able to achieve in that time?
Yeah, we've had another productive week. We've been able to do some good work on the grass. It was a little bit compromised the first week, but not so this week. So, yeah, pleased with the quality of the work as well. I think I've said before, I'm not into quantity. I just want quality, good work, and for the most part, that's what we've been able to produce today. So this week rather. So yeah, we did further work obviously today, which will lend itself to what we want to do at the weekend. So yeah, we still got obviously tomorrow just to go into the fine details. But yeah, a good week's work. But obviously we want a result at the end of it to quantify that.
Yeah. How receptive the squad being in terms of the instructions that you and Glenn are giving them?
Yeah, I have to say that's the thing I've been really pleased about. Yeah, they're open to what are probably new ideas this year, different ways of maybe thinking in terms of similar situations present themselves on the pitch, and maybe I'm giving them a little bit more scope to maybe play a little bit more. I'm not giving them anything I don't feel that they're capable of doing. I've got some good players here, good technical players that will be able to embrace that. So it was never a case of coming here and thinking they're not capable of doing what I'm asking of them. So yeah, so that perception of them as a group hasn't changed since I've been here. They're still a good technical footballers that will enjoy their football.
Has that approach from yourself, angling towards the group, had to change, maybe had to develop when taking on a club or a squad within League Two from your previous time in management? And if so, how does that look?
Well, no, I think it's still similar in terms of you have to assess the group you've got to work with and the players you've got to work with, and some will be better at other things than other players. So it's about recognising quickly what the group is best served to try and accomplish, and the work that they need to be able to be better at what they do well. And that's all I've been doing these last couple of weeks, is just really assessing the squad and getting a real angle on my thinking in terms of what they're capable of. And that doesn't change whenever I go into a new club. That's a process that you have to go through just to get an understanding of what you're working with, and that's the process that we're still going through now.
What is that assessment, would you say now?
Well, like I said, I'm pleasantly pleased with the amount of technical ability we've got in the group, and that's why we're going to try and be a team that maybe passes a little bit more than they have done. And it's not to say it's the right way. We'll soon find out if it's the right way. But everybody's different. Everybody has a different view in terms of how they want their group to play. So I'm not different from anybody else. I just think, having seen the players firsthand now, I'm more than happy to go down the road that I feel will help them in terms of having a little bit more possession, being able to ask more questions of opposition teams by virtue of keeping the ball a little bit more readily, and I think long term that will help us.
You spoke last week going into the swimming game about wanting to try and make those actions almost second nature to the players in terms of the time. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, but yeah, I think I mentioned it as well at the time. It's about repetition, and the more we do it, and on the occasions that we do it, it's got to be good quality work. It's no good just going through drills for the sake of it and not getting the benefit from it. It's about obviously working hard and just having that understanding that when situations develop, because time and time again throughout 90 minutes of football there'll be situations, very similar situations that present themselves, and it's about recognising them quickly and understanding what's the best way to capitalise on that situation that's present itself. So it's about just being able to have more guys in the team that recognise those moments automatically. The best teams are the ones that do that on a regular basis, and the more things you do automatically, the better you become as individual and as a group in my view.
Have you been able to welcome any more players from the injury list into the first team training?
Well, we drip feeding them into the group at the moment. Some are just doing a little bit of the warm-up, some are maybe going into the next part, which would be more likely to be passing and moving. A number of them aren't able to do contact yet, which is the next step. But yeah, we should have any number next week. We should get a couple back. I'm pleased that we're in a better situation than possibly we were when I first walked through the door. Touchwood, we haven't really lost too many, which can happen when you have a change of manager and a change of working, that you're doing different things, and so that can sometimes have an impact. So that concern hasn't been borne out. So yeah, everybody's where we hope they'd be at this point.
Who were you able to welcome back for Saturday for selection?
Well, we got Jamie back. He's obviously had a good week's training. Dion Pereira's obviously had a couple of weeks now, and we still haven't been able to see him as yet. So at some point we need to get him on the field. So he's close and he would be in contention. But yeah, for the most part, it's as we were from last week, plus a couple of others.
How close is Charles Vernon, Liam Rydell?
Charles is doing okay, actually. He's ahead, probably a couple of weeks ahead of where everybody thought he was going to be. Initially when I came in, there was a date for his return, which was maybe 4 or 5 weeks away, but he's been able to shave a couple of weeks off that. So yep, hopefully he'll join in with the whole group for the whole session next week. Clearly he's going to need a couple of weeks maybe to get up to speed, but no, he's ahead of where he needs to be.
And
Liam's yeah, we're still being guided by the experts really in terms of the concussion, but we're hopeful that he's going to get to a point where he'll be given the green lights. That should happen in maybe 1 or 2 weeks, as long as he doesn't have any reaction to the work that once we start to step him up.
And Tom Elliott finally just on?
Tom's okay, yeah. Tom's joined in the warm-up today, and he hasn't actually sprinted full out yet. He's probably up to about 80%, so that's the next stage for him. If we can, possibly tomorrow, I would imagine, if we can get him up to speed tomorrow, then next week put a good week's work into him, and then hopefully he'll be an option for me.
Just looking ahead to Saturday, and of course your opponents, Forest Green Rovers, who have arguably been the standout team really in this league throughout this season. What do you make to them and how they go about playing their football this year?
Yeah, they're a good side. Clearly they're top of the pile at the moment, and they get the ball forward quickly. They get good numbers in good areas and maximise the potential in the squad and the threat they have, and they've been able to do that all season. So it's not an easy game to go into as for the first away game, but I'm looking forward to it, as I've looked forward to every game so far, and be a good test for us. Won't be easy, but I've been pleased, obviously, with the performance last week. I want to see us build on that, and going up against the league leaders will obviously test us in that regard. So, yeah, they're a good side. They're on merit, but maybe just results in recent weeks haven't been that straightforward for them. So maybe we can go there and probably cause an upset, because I think that the assumption is that they will win the game, given that they're playing well, or a team that has the capability to do that, and they're at home. So I think the assumption is that it'd be difficult to overcome them, but we'll have something to say about it.
Yeah, to get that upset, if you were to do it, to get that win, would go a long way, wouldn't it, given the recent form for the team? Yeah,
like I said, I've been pleased with the reaction to myself and Glyn coming in, and I want to see that continuing. I think everybody can see that that's going to be slightly different from now to the end of the season, but I think it'll be no less enjoyable because of that. I think everybody can see, I hope, what we're trying to do, but along with that, we want to get points on the board as well. That's why we play this game, to to win games, get points and achieve. So it'd be good to pick up some points. We should have picked clearly a point up at least last week, so it'd be nice to obviously get on the board. Get a little bit of validation for the guys themselves. So it's okay talking a good game and telling them what to do, but at some point they must know that what I'm asking of them is effective, and that will be borne out and helped once we get points on the board.
And on that enjoyment, the first 2 weeks, the job, how have you settled in?
It's been great, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. You sometimes forget what this role demands of you, and there's a lot of elements to it, and at times it can weigh you down, but it's a little bit different here. Clearly I haven't got the resources that I had at other places, but I don't think that's an issue. It actually means that you have to get involved probably a lot more than you needed to in other places, because you had the resources and the manpower to delegate and give people the autonomy to go out and do the job to the best of their ability, means support staff and the like. Whereas now it's all hands on deck and everybody's got muck in, so I'm quite enjoying that part.
So in a way, does that bring more enjoyment to you?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a throwback to when I was first starting playing football. This is the level of... Actually, we've got more staff here than probably Man United had when I first started playing, so that shows how times change. But but it's reminiscent of that, but not the same. But there's a lot of good knowledge in the building that I can tap into, so that's reassuring from my point of view. Maybe not as many bodies, but sometimes too many cooks spoil the broth, so sometimes it's better to be lean and mean, maybe.
Final question from me, just on the number of players that are out of a deal in the summer. When do you start thinking about potential contracts? When do those conversations start taking place?
Well, they need to start reasonably quickly, and obviously that's part. It's really important to the recruitment side of the club, and obviously the league demands that you're good in that regard. If not, then you miss out on players that maybe could help you, and you lose players that you want to keep. So you've got to be on it right from the off. So I've had those conversations with Ryan, and we're looking to obviously start that process and make sure that we're ahead of the game, and we're not left behind and found wanting when we're going into the market, or we're trying to attract people in.
Are you still building that picture on who you'd like to stay with those there?
It's still early days. Some of the guys haven't seen in action yet, so and some haven't even been on the training ground. So we're still getting to grips with that, but hopefully that will resolve itself.
Best luck Saturday.
Thanks a lot, mate.
You say you haven't seen all the players yet. Those that have come in that weren't playing before, you've got to be pleased, one, with how they perform, but also that they're coming through without any injuries, having not played for so long. Yeah,
and that's important. I think, in fairness, I mean, the group is fine in terms of fitness levels. They've had a lot of work put into them in that regard. What I'm trying to do from now to the end of the year is maybe just give them that little bit of freshness that they need leading into games. I think it's important that your energies are... Obviously, you need the information leading into game, and you need to have work that will stimulate you during the week. But come the weekend, you've got to have that energy to be able to perform and have that presence of mind and clarity of thought when you're on the pitch. You understand what pass is required, what skills you need to use in certain situations, and that is easier done if you're fresh and bright and you're on your game. And sometimes you've got to get the balance right. If you don't get the balance right, sometimes it can affect your performance at the weekend. So it's about tapering into the game, making sure they're fresh and ready to go.
And you say you're enjoying it here. Is there some sort of distraction in the fact that even now, 2 weeks in still, the national press has done Mark Hughes, Bradford City, and commenting on everything, or is that because of your background, something you're used to?
Well, I think it surprised some people that I made the decision to come here, but and sometimes maybe negative story is easier to write than you tell me. I don't know, but you guys know better than me. But sometimes negative story has more angles than a positive one. So, listen, I've had negative pieces wrote about me on numerous occasions. It doesn't really faze me, if I'm honest. And one thing you do learn is that you have to grow thick skin very, very quickly. And I've had years of maybe on call for negativity, but you accept it as part of the job, so it doesn't really affect me.
Cheers.
So Mark, about obviously the recruitment side.
Yes.
The head of recruitment, obviously Ryan spoke around about the time you came in about appointing someone. I mean, what's the situation with that at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's ongoing. I think that's part of the conversation that we talked about. I think that's something, a role that needs to be filled here. I think that would help. I know Ryan's having conversations in that regard, so yeah, I think that's something hopefully will be nailed down in the next couple of weeks, and what needs to be done can start in earnest.
Would you be quite comfortable sort of working alongside someone then in that sort of...
Yeah, I've been in that situation, that structure before. I don't see that anyway as I don't know if you're trying to say I might view it as a threat. I don't view it at all. It's a resource that you go to help you to have a better understanding of what's out there, and if there's someone out there that's got a good knowledge of the quality of player out there and available, and possibly one that we're able to attract here, then you've got to tap into that resource and use it.
The fact that someone will be appointed now that you're here, you're sort of in with them from the start as well. It's presumably you can get to know the ideas.
No, I'm part of the process. It's clearly, it's fair to say I had to obviously be sure that that was the right way to go. I'm comfortable with it, but it was discussed before that decision to try and find the right guy before that decision was made. So I'm looking forward to having a real insight into what's out there, what's available, who potentially we can attract here. And I have to say, I think we're, in terms of recruitment, I would like to think we're very attractive at this level. We've got a great stadium, fantastic fan base, and I think that's a bit of a draw. Absolutely, it would be for me if I was a player. I'd want to play on a stage such as the Valley Parade. So yeah, that might be a competitive advantage that we can use.
And in terms of the game tomorrow, obviously, as you say, you've had the 2 home games. Your first away game, is this a little bit of an eye-opener into the level you're now operating at? You know, because you're going to be going to grounds that, you know, with all due respect, are nowhere near what you've been used to throughout your career, and probably Valley Parade wasn't really a League 2 ground to start with, was it? So.
No, but as I said before, I've experienced a lot in the game for a long time. I'm not somebody that was blind to all the experiences. Like I said, when I was first starting off, a lot of the grounds weren't developed. A lot of the training grounds were very, very underdeveloped in terms of surfaces and resources. It was just one pitch that used to get absolutely battered for the 9 months and 10 months, and there wouldn't be a blade of grass on it. So it's not anything I haven't experienced before. People keep on questioning, well, will it be a shock to the system? It isn't really. Clearly, I'm fully aware of the stadiums and the facilities we'll be going to. It's the pitch for the most part will always be the same size, so it's about doing your work beforehand and making sure you come away with a positive result.
And obviously, the dugouts, the crowd will be very close. You'll probably be able to hear every word from...
Oh, well, that might be interesting. Yeah, sometimes it can be just probably what I've experienced before is just a drum and a hum and a groan or whatever, but you can't really pick out people individually, so I'm sure there'll be a few lining up to make sure I hear exactly what they've got to say for themselves. So let's see what they can come up with. Hopefully it's quite humorous. It might make me chuckle rather than get angry.
And obviously, as I say, the challenge tomorrow, you know, one thing that Forest Green have built their season on is the front two. I think we've got 38 league goals between them. So it's
Yeah, great return. Yeah, and if you can convert chances, clearly they're creating enough chances, but you need someone on the end of them. And they're a threat. We understand that, but we've got things that we can do that they'll be concerned of. Haven't seen this last week as well. I think maybe we're going to set a different type of problem for them, possibly what they thought they were going to face maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So we can use that to our benefit.
I was going to say, you're probably, as a team, probably a different animal to what they, as they've been planning for.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's hope we can make the most of that. We don't want to go over there and have a drop off in terms of what we're able to produce. We set some kind of a marker last weekend, albeit not quite where we want to be in terms of result, but that's the bare minimum level we want to hit. We want to improve on that at the weekend.